Let me begin my story by sharing with you how I got there in the US in the first place. So, a friend of mine who was my classmate in one of the subjects we were both taking during our masters messaged me through Facebook that science teachers were needed in the US since she's already in there, and she thought I was qualified to become a US teacher. At first, I hesitated because honestly, I never dreamed of working abroad. Cliche or cheesy as this may sound, but yeah, my loyalty is for my country. But after hearing that I will not be spending much and everything will be done online, I changed my mind and I started to get interested. So to make this story short, I passed all the screening requirements, interviews, I got my visa and plane ticket headed to North Carolina, USA. I arrived in North Carolina, USA on August 2, 2021. We had 1 week of orientation in Durham, one of the cities in North Carolina. After a week, we headed to Greensboro, the city address of our school district, the Guilford County School District. The county school district is like the counterpart of our school's division office here in the Philippines. On the day we arrived in Greensboro, we had another orientation or slash welcome program for all new international teachers. We were about 50 and only two of us were Filipinos. Mostly came from Jamaica, others were from Honduras, Argentina, Chile, Colombia, and one from India. During the orientation, all new international teachers were given laptop, pocket Wi-Fi with unlimited data, and school supplies. The orientation also discussed our roles and responsibilities as teachers of Guilford County Schools. The orientation was just for 1 day. The next days were spent in our assigned school without the students yet, so it's like the Brigada Eskwela period. During this time, aside from the classroom preparations, all teachers were required to attend to meetings which were conducted virtually and physically. The meetings were called PD meetings or professional development meetings. It's like the inset here in the Philippines. During PD meetings, we were oriented of the school calendar, the school and district policies, among many others. US schools are headed by school principals, just like here in the Philippines too, and assistant principals. My school, Ben L. Smith High School, has one principal and four assistant principals. Just a quick background about the US educational system. Education in the United States is provided in public, private, and home schools. State governments set the overall educational standards. This is in contrast with what we have here in the Philippines, since everything here is under the mandate of the Department of Education. But in US, every state has the right to set overall educational standards, often mandate standardized tests for K-12 public school systems, and supervise, usually through Board of Regents. Private schools in the US, on the other hand, are free to determine their own curriculum and staffing policies. Formal education in the US is divided into educational stages. Children may begin school in pre-kindergarten, kindergarten, or first grade depending on the circumstance. Students normally attend 12 grades of study over 12 calendar years, just like here in the Philippines, of primary, elementary, middle school, and high school. Elementary is from grade 1 to grade 5. Middle school is from grade 6 to grade 8. And high school is grade 9 to grade 12. So in US high schools, freshmen are the grade 9 students. Sophomore are grade 10 students. Junior are grade 11 students. And finally, grade 12 is the senior year. Aside from the differences in the educational stages between the Philippines and in the US, there are still a lot of differences that I could tell you. Let's have Uniforms. In terms of uniforms, US schools don't require students and teachers to wear uniforms. But of course, schools also have policies about the proper wearing of attire. Another is in terms of class schedule. In our district, classes begin at 9:30 in the morning and end at 4:30 in the afternoon. But teachers are required to be at school at 9 a.m. and leave after 5 p.m. In terms of class period, in the Philippines, we usually allot 1 hour per subject, and this is for all 8 subjects, with exceptions to those who are under the specialized programs such as STE, SPA, SOF, and SPGA since they have extra subjects. In US, students only take 4 subjects per semester, and each subject is taken for 1 hour and 45 minutes. Another difference in terms of school subjects. Here, as I have mentioned already, we have 8 subjects, but this is just for the junior high school. And for senior high school, the number of subjects varies depending on the track and the academic strand. In US, students somehow have the freedom to choose their subjects, especially in the elective subjects, and whether they intend to proceed to college or just look for work after high school. Specifically in North Carolina, every public high school student must meet state course and credit requirements in order to graduate from high school. All students are required to have at least 22 credits before graduating. So they just have to get that 22 credits in order for them to graduate high school. But in the Philippines, you have to pass all of your subjects, no grade less than 75, and then you will be graduating high school. For the subjects English and Math, these two are called sequential subjects, meaning they take English 1 or Math 1 in the 9th grade, Math 2 or English 2 for 10th grade, Math 3 and English 3 for 11th grade, and finally Math 4 and English 4 for grade 12. However, if the student will not go to college and opt to work instead, the student is only required 3 credits for math. But if they go to college, or if they decide to go to college, 4 credits for math is required. For science, they only have 3 options: biology, physical science, and earth and environmental science. This is usually taken during their freshman years or sophomore years. During my stay at Ben L. Smith High School, I taught earth and environmental science, which was attended mostly by grade 9 students. 4 were sophomores, and I only had 1 senior student. To those who will proceed to college, they must have 4 credits for science, and only 3 credits for science are required to those who intend to work after high school. For social studies, 4 credits are also required for the students who intend to go to college, while 3 credits are the requirement for those who intend to work. For the subject health and physical education, 1 credit is the requirement both for the students who want to go to college or just look for work after high school. And finally, for the elective subjects, those who will go to college are only required to take 6 credits from any of the subjects, and these are the subject areas: CTE or the career and technical education, arts and education, and the options under arts and education are dance, music, theater, and visual arts. JROTC is also one of the options, and any subject area, example forensic science for science, calculus for math. But for those who will be working after high school, they are required to have 10 elective credits. And out of these 10, the first 6 credits will be from the sequential subject that is called occupational preparation. So during the 9th grade, they will take occupational preparation 1, occupational preparation 2 in 10th grade, occupational preparation 3 for the 11th grade, and finally occupational preparation 4 in the 12th grade. Another 2 credits will be taken from their career portfolio. And the remaining 4 credits will come from any career and technical elective subject. So these again are the subjects for those who want to look for jobs after high school. And majority of the students actually in the US, they just want to go to, they just want to work after high school. I only know of a few who wants to go to college after high school. So to summarize, in US schools, students are actually prepared for two exits only, college or work. But in the Philippines, students here are prepared for four exits: higher education or kolehiyo, employment or trabajo, entrepreneurship or negosyo, and middle level skills. Another difference in terms of school supplies. So in Guilford County schools, there are approximately 70,000 students. All of these students are provided with Chromebook, basically a laptop, and can have internet access in any part of the school, strong internet access. Students are given pens, notebooks, etc. at the start of the school year. In my school, Ben L. Smith High School, teachers can request for any school supplies that they need in their rooms any time of the year. You can just send an email to the treasurer, and by the next day, you will get all the supplies you requested. The school supplies include copy paper or bond paper as we call it here, stapler, pens, inks, etc., among many others. Another difference is in terms of classroom and class size. All classrooms in Ben L. Smith High School have built-in projector, whiteboard, smart TV, and printer. I was able to visit 3 schools in the US, and same situation. All classrooms have built-in projector, whiteboard, smart TV, and printer. The average class size is 15. I handled 3 classes, one with 15 students, one with 11 students, and one with 24 students. So yeah, kagamay sang number of students sa nga akong ginhandulan, pero sa attitude, never mind. Let's just talk about it in another venue. Another difference in terms of breakfast, lunch, and breaks. In the US, when students arrive to school, they can proceed to the cafeteria and have their free breakfast. At 12 noon, all students will go to the cafeteria for lunch. There's no recess, and whenever they want to go outside or use the bathroom, they just have to secure a permit, or what we call a bathroom slip, signed by the subject teacher. They cannot leave the school premises before 4:30 unless a parent or a guardian will pick them up. Students are not allowed to stay outside their classrooms, and if they are caught outside, they will be escorted back to their rooms. Teachers during free time or vacant time are actually requested to stay in the hallways to avoid loitering students. And finally, special education or IEP. Among all the differences I mentioned so far, this is the one that I think stood out for me. IEP. So what is an IEP? Again, IEP stands for Individualized Education Program. This is a legal document under the United States law that is developed for each public school child in US who needs special education. Before going to US, my understanding of SPED is just limited to those who are differently abled or intellectually gifted. But in US, SPED is really a big thing. I was surprised that most of my students were actually SPED students. Physically, they look just fine, just like the normal, typical American black student. But their difficulty is in terms of their learning, and this was diagnosed during their elementary years. So if you are a SPED student, you are legally entitled to avail for special services or what we call accommodation. Example, a SPED student who has difficulty in hearing must require a teacher or an assistant teacher to have read aloud lessons. Another, if a student has learning or intellectual disability, specifically in subjects math, science, or English, a SPED teacher must be in the same room with the regular math, English, or science teacher to assist those who are known SPED students. So in one classroom, there could be 3, even 4 teachers. One regular teacher, one assistant teacher, and 1 or 2 SPED teachers. But of course, that is not the case always, since there is actually a big shortage of teachers in all states of the USA. Speaking of shortages or shortage of teachers in US, after doing my research and my short journey in the US as a teacher there, I somehow have the understanding on why there is shortage of US teachers. Just a disclaimer. The disclaimer is mentioned almost at the end of my speech, but anyway, just a disclaimer. And before I give my concluding message, all the things I have already mentioned and the things I will still be mentioning are just based on my personal opinions and experience as a US teacher. And just to close my message, you have heard the differences between the US and the Philippine educational system. You may think that we are in the disadvantage or the unfortunate spectrum of the educational system since we cannot provide all the technologies, resources, and services to the Filipino students. We are a third world country and we think we cannot compete globally. But let me tell you this, one of the reasons why I left USA, even if it could have given me a lot of money, is that Filipino students are way exceptional in terms of giving value to education. Filipino students may not have all the resources, but they always strive for excellence. I can't help myself but compare my American students with my Filipino students. Hipos lang, pero sa paalam-alam lang gid, kalayo gid sang alam sang Pinoy sa mga kano. So with the PISA or Program for International Student Assessment coming very soon, with the caliber of students that we have, with the passionate math, English, and science teachers that we have in the SEDIV Avelino Junior National High School, and with the support of the school's division of CAPIS, I am positive that we can ace the PISA. Viva CAPIS Division, Viva Jose Diva. Thank you everyone, and to God be the glory.